Welcome back to Better Minecraft Ravens. Today we are going to dive into Farmer's Delight. Last episode we did a bunch of raids. We fighted some nasty invisible skeletons and defeated a big villager encampment. We died several times and only barely managed to clear it out. Therefore, I decided this is the time to start farming and cook more decent food, because I wanted to go on even more dangerous adventures. To start out, I first needed more crops. I had carrots, potatoes, beetroot and wheat, but I needed more. I needed cabbage, tomatoes, onions and rice, because these are the main ingredients Farmer's Delight meals rely on. I knew that tomato vines spawn in hot and dry biomes, and as there were some deserts close by, I hopped on my dragon and flew over there. But no tomato vines were to be found. I searched until night fell before I finally looked it up in JEI. And hey! You can find those seeds in villages too. I had seen a village on my search. It had a Leviathan close by, which is pretty cool. It's a dungeon, and I surely will raid it sometime in the future, but for now I wanted to maintain a safe distance from the spawners in there and landed on the other side of the village. The next day I started looting and got lucky. I found not only tomato seeds in there, but also rice and onion. So the only crop missing was cabbage. Before I headed to the next village, I named the waystone in honor of Jack Taylor, who has been commenting a lot on my videos. Thank you so much, Jack, for being part of this community. The next village was at the outskirts of a jungle, and it had these beautiful flowers. I grabbed a bunch of them. Besides, I found fertile soil and compost. Compost transforms into fertile soil over time, and fertile soil will make crops grow faster. I found some other loot too, but unfortunately no cabbage seeds. Before I left, I named this beautiful town as well. Super Kitten's comments are super sweet and it always feels so good to read them. Thank you for being around. As I was not sure about where to find the next village, I decided to fly over to a beachy region, because wild cabbage grows on beaches. And you know what? I got lucky again. On this little beach, there were a bunch of cabbage plants growing in the lovely sun. I harvested all of them and headed home. And then the weather went bad. At first it only started to rain, but when I woke up the next morning, it dawned on me that I have forgotten about one very important detail. Seasons. Snow started to fall down on my little base of operations. I crafted a calendar and yes, it was winter. And crops don't grow very well in winter, right? How long would I have to wait until I could harvest the crops I needed for the meals I wanted to cook? I was desperate, but what other options had I? I needed better food. So I started working on the farmland. It takes a while until I have set up everything, I thought. Maybe spring is coming once everything is prepared. From what I saw on the calendar, winter already was in the last third of its duration, so I was hopeful. I cut down the trees behind my house and plowed a double field. I covered the water source with trapdoors and torches, because the water started to freeze by now. And I put down all the fertile soil and compost I had. And then I started to plant. It still was winter, but I was sure it couldn't last much longer. While planting, I found that not all of my crops were depending on the seasons. Tomatoes, cabbage and onions seemed to be growing like normal. Potatoes and carrots would be harvestable in spring already, but wow, wheat and beetroot needed summer or even autumn. Would I need to wait a whole year until I could go on another adventure? Eventually I finished the sowing. Since I had nothing to do while I waited for the crops to grow, I started working on my house. While I was farming, I was already very annoyed by the fact that my door was on the other side of the house, and I had to walk all around of it to get to my stuff. So I added a door on the back side. But then I looked at the two houses and thought it would be much more efficient if they were connected to each other. And that's what I did. It took me days to finish it. In my breaks, I harvested my field to maximize its yield. And finally, spring arrived and things started to grow much faster. By now I had a good amount of crops harvested. But I wasn't happy with how I set up my kitchen. I thought an outdoor kitchen might be cool, but then I no longer liked the idea. Therefore I extended the back part of my house and added a chimney to it. It looked like crap, but it did the trick. Now I had a nice little kitchen within my house and enough doors to go where I wanted to. And I finally could start cooking. I went for vegetable soup, which is pretty easy and it's worth 5.5 hunger and 8 saturation. I made a stack of bowls, but unfortunately the beetroot kept to be the bottleneck. At the end I had about 30 servings of vegetable soup, which I considered enough for conquering a pirate ship. What could happen? So I packed up everything, decided which ship I wanted to enter, and took off with my dragon. There was a practical little island nearby the ship where I could safely land and where I could put down a bed. I had no idea how important it would be for me that I had set my spawn point and how soon I would be standing here again. Then I jumped into a boat and pulled over to the ship. I decided to enter the ship right in the middle. That way I was far enough from the 4 spawners in the water to activate. It felt a bit sneaky to enter through a hole in the side of the ship, but hey, who would land on a deck full of skeletons armed to the teeth? I thought I was super smart and invincible because of the trick with the spawners, but was soon proved very wrong. The moment I jumped out of the boat and climbed on the ship, I got attacked by 2 skeletons with swords, and I was nearly instantly dead. What happened there? I had defeated a whole town of villagers and got decently enchanted armor from there, and now those 2 skeletons had killed me without me being able to do anything? That must be monsters. It turned out that, yes, they do a lot of damage and have a lot of hearts, but the main error was me being stupid and overrating myself and my equipment. After I got my stuff back, I took a more cautious approach. It was still difficult and I died twice, but I finally could take out the spawner and defeat the skeletons of the lower decks. Then I blocked off the next level so that I could attack the pirates, but was mostly safe from their attacks. And I put down a bed and set my spawn point, which was both very smart, I thought. 2 of the pirates had pairs with them, which kept making creeper noises and made me nervous while I tried to fight my way back to the next spawner. I think that was all part of the captain's evil plan to drive innocent adventurers like me crazy. But not with me, not with me. I would claim this ship my own, and parrots and nasty silverfish won't make me stand back from that goal. While fighting, I realized that my new axe seemed not to be as good as I thought. The tooltip said that it would make over 12 hit points damage, but that was not true. Together with it being a very slow weapon, it was just a bad axe on which I had wasted a mending book. Thankfully, I had a good sword in my backpack, which made the fight much easier. I finally managed to clear the second deck and deactivated the spawner. It was hard work. Now only the top level had to be cleared. At first I thought that it was not possible because there were so many skeletons, but then I realized 2 things. Number 1, they couldn't move from where they stood. And second, even though they were shooting a lot of arrows at me, it wasn't that much damage. So I just stormed on the deck, killed some of the pirates and retreated shortly to eat something before I launched another attack. I even managed to get them to shoot at each other, which made the whole thing even easier. At the end there was only 1 skeleton left, who I thought might be the captain because it was hiding in the captain's cabin, but the fight was so easy that this must have been just a regular member of the crew. The captain was nowhere to be found. This ship was mine to take, so I started looting and was bitterly disappointed. Yes, some diamonds and a lot of gold and iron, but the equipment was just crap. A ship that was guarded by skeletons with 80 hearts should definitely have some loot that would make it easier to take on the next ship. Was I just unlucky? Should I have drunken one of these luck potions? Finally, I packed up everything and headed home. After I had sorted out all my stuff, I decided that I needed some happiness in my life. And I remembered that I read something about a straw golem who is willing to help with farming. So I grabbed a hay bale and a carved pumpkin and brought this cute little guy to life. He started harvesting right away, but I needed some time until I figured out how I could tell him what chest he should use. In the end, I simply put him right on top of the chest and that seemed to work then. Now he is slowly harvesting my crops, except for the tomatoes. It seems like he is ignoring them. Maybe he doesn't like tomatoes because they look like the apples he likes so very much, but don't taste the same? Anyway, this is all from me for today. If you enjoyed this episode and want to watch more, click on the link showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you there in a second. Thanks for watching.